Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ladies Power Lunch. Thank you so much for joining us. So, today we're having a really interesting discussion. And I want to say hi to everybody who's joined us over on our Facebook group. I know this is a discussion that we've been having in the group about just how to tame our inboxes. It seems like every day there's more and more and more email than we can handle. It seems like for some of us, we have to actually hire somebody just to attempt to keep our inboxes under control. And so I am so pleased and so excited that we have some very, very outstanding experts on this whole using email and also being organized idea sharing with us today. We have Jaime, we have Aina, we have Drew, we have Nadine, and we have Katherine. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just one at a time invite you to share with us, please, who you are and what you do so that everybody who's in our audience, who's joining us over on Facebook, hi Lynn, hi Dawn, hi Beth, everybody who's joining us can know who it is that we're talking to and what your perspective is, where you're coming from having this conversation. So, Jaime, will you start? Who are you? What do you do? What's your relationship to email?
I will, and thank you very much for having me, Dr. Davia. My name is Jaime Williams. The name of my business is Coordinated Creativity Virtual Solutions. So I am a virtual assistant, and I'm actually pivoting towards online business manager at this point. So a little bit more of the strategy type situation. So I'm very glad to be here. I'm calling in from Connecticut, and yeah, looking forward to this conversation.
Awesome. And our relationship is very intertwined because you support us with our book projects, and you've also been just a tremendous help for us with summits as well. So believe me, if anybody's out there looking for OBM, Jaime is somebody that you can definitely reach out to. Aina, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And Aina is one of our platinum sponsors with Ladies Power Lunch. I'm really, really happy to have you join us. Can you tell us who you are and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I'm Aina Hoskins. I'm the Executive Managing Director for eWomen Network in Connecticut. And I am actually a Feng Shui expert in regards to your business. So this
So
is
you're going
very
to
in
teach,
alignment with that.
yes, you're going to teach us how to stay organized and how to keep the energy of our inbox aligned. I love that. That's wonderful. Welcome, my friend Nadine. Guys, I adore Nadine. She's such an expert marketer. But let me not tell you who she is. Let me give her an opportunity to share. Nadine, who are you and what do you do? And what's the energy that you're bringing to this conversation about our inboxes?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Davia. I am so excited to be here. I am Nadine Mullings. I'm the CEO of Nadine Mullings Marketing Agency, and I help people to be less random with their marketing and more specific, strategic, and spirit led. And I'm usually on the other side of email marketing, teaching people how to use email marketing to get into your inbox. But I'm also passionate about being organized and handling your inbox and managing your inbox. So, of course, I'm going to be talking about it from that angle today. Key tools, techniques, and tips on how to manage and handle your inbox when us marketers send you the email.
Awesome. Thank you, Nadine. And of course, most of you are familiar with Drew. It's not very often that we have a gentleman joining us on the Ladies Power Lunch show. But of course, many of the times when we do, it's Drew because he has such great expertise. When you see a lot of the websites or marketing promos that go out for Ladies Power Lunch, Drew is like the mastermind behind a lot of that stuff. And he is an expert internet marketer. And Drew, can you tell us who are you, what do you do, and what's your perspective on us keeping our inboxes under control?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Dr. Davia. So I am Drew Kairos. I don't really know how to introduce myself here. So I have a couple businesses. I'm the CEO of Alpha Dog Success and the Turnkey Business. I'm a mindset coach, marketing strategist. I basically focus on helping entrepreneurs grow their businesses by improving themselves first. That's the essence of it. A lot of that comes down to productivity, efficiency, using your time effectively. So obviously different mental and psychological hacks you can use to tame your inbox and be more effective overall.
Awesome. And a lot of the times when Drew and I have conversations, we're talking about how, like Nadine, we can get our emails into your inboxes. But today we're going to talk about just keeping things under control and keeping things organized. So I'm going to switch our view here to gallery so we can all just participate in this conversation and jump in as we see fit. But I want to know, what's your take on the idea of keeping your inbox under control? And we can probably start with Jamie. Like, what's the biggest thing that we have to be focused on?
Well, I think that people can get really overwhelmed by their inbox. And I mean, I look at it in two different ways. So you have a lot of people will have a backlog, and then they'll have their current, and you can kind of deal with them separately. I try to keep email as just as any other task, and I time block for it so that it doesn't totally make my day just obsessive. So if you time block maybe a day or an hour in the morning to just sort through, and not even necessarily deal with all of the emails, but just to sort through them and determine what you need to add to your to-do list for that day. And then perhaps another hour at the end of the day to just set up your day for the next day, just to see if anything urgent has come in. You might want to check it a couple times throughout the day, just in case there are anything truly urgent. But I find that if you really time block and only look at it at certain times, it just takes a lot of the stress away. But I think it's important to realize that people have really big feelings about email. People get overwhelmed. They feel guilty if they have too many emails in their box. So I think just approaching it that way and trying to just remain calm and treat it like any other task really does help me a lot.
Yeah, I can totally understand what you're saying, and yet I don't do that, Jamie. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that I'm not the only one who's like that. I want to just bring Katherine on camera for a couple of minutes because you guys had an opportunity to have a real nice long chat with Katherine a couple of weeks ago, and she really is a productivity expert. But Katherine, when we're looking at email, just share with us who you are, what it is that you do, and how what you do can really help us with keeping our inboxes under control.
Well, I am a productivity and ADHD coach. Thanks for having me on, Dr. Davia. It's always a pleasure to be with the Ladies Power Lunch Group. And when I'm working with my clients, they are folks who have 50 tabs open in their brain at any given time. Not everybody who has 50 tabs open has ADHD, but many of them do. And it's pretty common in entrepreneurs. I think we are trailblazers. We love to run our own show. So when it comes to email, I agree with Jamie. You can get this emotional thing attached to it. Like sometimes I'm going to go and unsubscribe from a newsletter, and then I think, oh, that's a really dear friend, and are their feelings going to be hurt? And it's funny because when someone unsubscribes from mine, I'm just like, oh, well, that person wasn't meant to have that in their inbox right now. And I'm very relaxed and chill about it. You'd think that's where I'd have my emotion, but it's not. So I've really had to learn how to unsubscribe and then not resubscribe or subscribe at all. So not jump into every single thing so that my inbox isn't always full. I am actually down to 0 unread, and I reconfigured. I know, right? I really worked at this. It took me a long time, so I'm very proud of myself. I reconfigured my Gmail inbox, and don't ask me how to do it because I've forgotten technically, but I bet Jamie knows, or probably Drew knows. So that the unread is always at the top. So I see them first, so I deal with them first. And just making that simple reconfiguration in my inbox allowed me to get to 0, which was unbelievable. So I have lots of tools and techniques. One of my favorites, and then I'm gonna not hog the floor, is something called Maelstrom, Mailstrom. And it is about $60 a year. And I may be a little off on the pricing, so I apologize. It's been a long time since I got it. And it is a way you can quickly unsubscribe and clean up your inbox because it's all set out for you in different categories. You can really take a look. Plus, you can archive. So like mom and dad sent years and years of emails, and I don't really want to go through and clean them all out right now, but they're mom and dad, so they're important, right? Some are important, some aren't, right? I just archived all those. So anything pre-2020 just went right into an archive folder. So it's just a quick way to clean up, but not have to fret about losing your information.
And I think that's a big fear, Katherine, because we always hold on to a lot of the emails because we think there's something that's going to come up and it's going to require for us to do a trace of information or communication. So you want to make sure that you didn't lose something that you might need in the future. I like also, Katherine, that you talk about the energy of hitting that unsubscribe. And I know exactly what you mean because everybody knows I have so many friends and I have so much love in my heart. And I really do want to read everybody's email. But my day is just like yours, 24 hours. I have 25, you guys have 24, but it's still just 1 hour more. And so, it really does take a lot of effort for me to hit that unsubscribe button. Whereas, just like you, if somebody is unsubscribing to my list, I'm actually not sad at all. And Drew had this conversation on his coaching call on Monday about the fact that you pay for every single person that you have on your list. So when somebody hops off, because it's not their thing, it's really not a hardship for me. It's like, okay, thank you for raising your hand and saying that this is not your deal so that I don't have to pay for you to be on my list when you really don't want to be. Aina, talking about that energy of the inbox, how can we bring feng shui to bear when we're thinking about the do's and don'ts of maintaining our inbox?
Absolutely. So feng shui basically is actually energy, right? And the number one thing is that clutter clutters your mind, which then clutters your ability to manifest what you want. And believe it or not, your inbox is actually something that can clutter you. So I'm one of those that always has my emails are always read and up to date. And again, I have a filing system, so all of my 2021 receipts automatically go into this. And absolutely unsubscribe. Don't feel bad about that because you want emails that pertain to you, right? And your target audience wants to read your stuff. So if somebody's just deleting them, you don't want them on there anyway because it's not your target audience, right? So this whole idea of the energy thing, it will clutter your mind. Your inbox will clutter your mind. But just like Jaime said, don't get overwhelmed. Just really start with deleting everything you don't even need to read. Spend an hour deleting everything you don't need to read. And that will free you up. And then you start saying, okay, all I have to do is look at this and then file it. And everything that I have not responded to or has some sort of action item attached to it stays in my inbox until it's complete. So
I like that.
So those are some little hints, but just know that your, emails, they are part of that whole clutter thing. So you want to spend some time and take some effort to clean it up.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to take your advice because I really do abhor clutter. I am really a very, very organized person, and yet my email box does not reflect this at all. So I really don't want to stand in the way of my manifestations by having a cluttered inbox. So I'm going to definitely spend some time working on that. Drew, what do's and don'ts do you have for working on our clutter in our inbox?
Okay, so I want to expand on what I think Jaime said it in the beginning about time blocking. Set specific times of day to check your email. I actually wrote a blog post on this a while back based on a book, Science of Motivation by Brian Tracy. And in that book, he mentions that the average adult checks their email 145 times per day.
That's insane. I don't do that.
So most of us think we don't do that, but in reality, for a lot of us, I mean, Facebook has kind of replaced that, or social media, but it's the same type of thing where it's just something that we come back to. We get an email and we check it. Usually for a lot of us, you get an email, it's opened within 6 seconds, which is just, for me, that's mind blowing, because I check my email a couple times a day, but usually 6 seconds is when it's opened. And every time that you get that notification and you jump to your inbox away from what you're doing, productivity experts say that it's costing you an additional 23 minutes per distraction. So in order to get back on track and get back in the zone of what you were doing, you just wasted 25 minutes. So time blocking is a big thing. Just set it for a couple times a day. Turn off all of your notifications everywhere. No pop-up notifications on your phone, on your desktop. Check your email only when you designate time to check your email. Should be the same thing with social media. Basically, don't keep the tab open waiting for a number to pop up on there. Like, oh, now I have an unread message, I have to open it. And the other thing is, as far kind of building on the blocking time thing again too, but we have a limited resource of, I call it mental mana, but it's really like our ability to make decisions and stay focused and everything like that. Our willpower basically wanes as the day goes on. So it's sort of something where if you're checking your email first thing in the morning, that's when most of us are most productive, but it's not an effective use of our time to check it first thing in the morning, because emails almost always have new asks and tasks in them. So it's pulling us off from what we know we need to do. And it's usually nothing that's that tedious or requires that much brain power. So it is something that can wait until later on. And I think I got that from the, like, Eat Your Frog or Eat This Frog, whatever that book is called. So there was a Mark Twain quote about it too that I liked, which is, if it's your job to eat a frog, it's best to eat it first thing in the morning. And if it's your job to eat 2 frogs, it's best to eat the biggest one first.
Wow.
So this is like, if email is your frog, I would take some time before eating it. Get the important stuff out of the way first, get the stuff done that's going to require more brain power, and then check your emails.
Yes, I like that a lot. I would ask you, Drew, if it feels right to you, would you be willing to share your blog post onto the Ladies Power Lunch blog so that the women who are watching or watching on the replay can have an opportunity to connect with that? Sounds like
sure.
It's super interesting. And
it's an old post and it's really short, but it'll still get the point across for you guys.
Yeah. And I invite you all who are on the panel today, if you have blog posts or if you would like to write a blog talking about how to tame our inboxes, the invitation is open to you to post that blog post on our Ladies Power Lunch blog. Nadine, your do's and don'ts for just getting some control over the thing that is our inbox.
Yeah, so I've loved everything everyone shared already, and some of them were things that I was going to share. So definitely I'm going to say similar to what Drew said about turning off notifications was one of the key things that I was going to say. I always like to give a tip, a tool, and technique. So my tip was going to be about turning off notifications, and Drew already mentioned that. So I'm going to give you another tip, which is not for everyone. It works for me, but I'll warn you, it's not for everyone. I do not have email on my phone. I just don't because it was distracting. I promise you, I downloaded email on my phone and had it on for an hour and realized how distracting it was for me. Mm-hmm. And I took it off my phone. So I don't have it on my phone. Anytime I need to check email, I go to my computer and I sit and check my email. And similar to Jaime, the technique I was going to say is batching. So I only check my email morning, afternoon, and evening. So that is the rhythm that I have, or the technique I have when it comes to checking my email by batching it in the morning, afternoon, and evening time. And some things I don't immediately respond to. I say like, okay, that's a tomorrow morning thing. I'm not going to respond to that this evening. So that would be my technique on how I manage my emails. My tool that I want to share with you guys is SaneBox. Now, SaneBox has saved my life, right? So I'm super passionate about SaneBox, and it's really an artificial intelligence tool that actually manages your email. So as your email comes in, it says, okay, this is an important email based on how you interact with your inbox. This is an important email, it needs to stay in her inbox. This is not an important email, it's gonna go into the Sane Later folder, or it's gonna go into the Sane newsletter folder. Like, we all get tons of newsletters, we talked about that before. I actually have the artificial intelligence on with SaneBox that puts that into a separate folder. So it really keeps me organized. So when I do batch and go in and start managing my email, I'm really only focused on my inbox. And then in the evening, I look at the newsletter one to see who's I want to read, who I want to delete. And someone already mentioned this tip too about unsubscribing. This year, I did a major unsubscribing. It's like 2020 was all the things. And I'm like, some people I just don't want to hear from. So I'm unsubscribing. So I did like a ton of unsubscribing and really thought, who do I truly want to read their emails? Who do I really want to stay connected with? And I made tough decisions because I love to learn. So it's like, I will read 10 million emails. I was like, you can learn all day, Nadine, but you need to focus on just the key people that you need to be hearing from. So I did a ton of unsubscribing earlier this year and last year, and that helped my inbox. So my tip will be, if you can, go ahead and don't have email on your phone. My technique would be batching, and my tool would be SaneBox.
Awesome. Thank you, Nadine. That was just so nicely outlined. And I really appreciate you taking the time to see who's important to you and what you want to read. And just like you, I love learning. So I want to keep all these emails and read them. But in the real world, my time is just not, I don't have that much time. And so I can always go to somebody's website or reach out to somebody directly if I do need some information. But actually having all those emails blocking my manifestation by being a clutter point in my inbox, it's not going to be really it's not the way for me to go forward. Katherine, before we go, you would be so surprised how fast this time has flown this morning. This is a topic that I think we might have to bring y'all back to revisit for sure. But Katherine, do you have any hacks, tools, in addition to the ones that you've mentioned before, any hacks or tools that you think would be helpful for us all?
Here's one that's sort of completely different. When you're away, have an autoresponder on your email so that people know when you'll get back to them. And so mine might say something like, unavailable from X date to Y date, will be 24 hours or whatever it is. You can also use this exact same hack in this whole time blocking idea, where you can say, I respond to my emails at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. and train your clients to when they're going to hear back from you.
I like that one a lot. So mine will say, I am at the beach. I will respond to you when I get back. Awesome. Jaime, how about you? I know you have tons of tricks and tools and hacks up your sleeve. What would you like to recommend? What's your number one tip for us to take away today?
I think my number one tip would be using templates for things. So if you have a common reply that you're sending to people, just type up a template and then you can just quick insert it right in, and you don't have to type it out every time. So definitely use templates. I use them all the time.
I love templates. That's a wonderful one. I'm actually going to drop that in the chat over here on Ladies Lunch. How about you, Aina? Any last words that you want to share with us about just getting very feng shui with our inbox?
Sure. You know, I use the same method as I do with my to-do list, actually, and that is you either do it, you delegate it, or you delete it. And because we all have the best of intentions and want to learn and read all these newsletters, but realistically, how much time do you have to read newsletters, right? So you want to prioritize what you want to do and be realistic about it. And that way you can start getting rid of some and get a good handle on it.
Beautiful. And I just want to tell everybody, because I know I struggle with email, I really try not to send out too many emails for Ladies Power Lunch. I send at least one email a month, and that's just to let you know when our next meeting is going to be. So you can also, I think you can also, you don't necessarily have to unsubscribe, but you can actually change the way that you receive certain emails from newsletters. And so that is also something that I think people can consider if there's an email that they want to get, but they don't want to be getting too many of them or seeing it too much. Drew, any final words for us? Anything that you want us to absolutely remember if we remember nothing else?
Yeah, templates was going to be what I was originally going to say.
Great minds, right?
But I do have some other tips basically. So categories and folders is definitely a big thing. If you can sort things out or even set up automations to sort emails into folders as they come in, that is really important. And from what I found, if it's not worth organizing, it's not worth saving. So if it's not something you want to categorize and read, delete it. And don't feel bad about deleting it.
Do not feel badly about deleting an email. And Nadine, final words.
So mine was going to be folders. I know Drew just said that, so then I'll just say flags. You can also flag emails too. So that's another technique or a way that you can organize your inbox. It's flagging stuff for priorities or importance to go back to. So I would say using the flag option in your inbox.
Awesome. And Katherine, final words.
What a great group of collective brilliance. This is so fun. Yeah, that's my final word.
Yay! Well, this is a great group of collective brilliance. We have a nice group of people who've joined us over on Facebook. Dina says, I started to star emails that are important, and I do need to do something with it. This has been helpful for organization. Robin says, there's a virtual group that I'm in that has a weekly declutter inbox session to unsubscribe and clean out inboxes. I've still yet to join, but love the idea of having a targeted focus with others, because some of us do not have that defined will center, and so we get more things done when we're in the company of others. So if you can find a group that is actually going to be targeted on cleaning up inboxes and saying, okay, today that's what we're doing for a co-working assignment, and you get in on that, that could be a good thing to be a part of as well. Dina says she loves the 3 Ds, and I think the Ds came from Aina, do it, delegate, or delete. I love those two. Those are definitely high points for me. And Janice Michelle Smith says, great tips. Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, because, we always have to have one. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a very enlightening conversation, and I am going to actually spend some time today really trying to do something about cleaning the clutter in my inbox. And thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks for the brilliance that you've shared with us. Thank you everybody who hopped on over on our Ladies Power Lunch Facebook group. And the party continues because it is Friday, and at 1 o'clock, and it's going to be hour long because this is a special edition, we have Free Gift Friday, and we're going to be talking about how you can make money by being a podcast guest. We have an amazing speaker. She is Cami Gilner. She was one of our speakers on our Ladies Power Lunch Spring Summit. She's bringing her wisdom this afternoon. So I invite everybody. I'll give you guys a chance to have a whole 1 hour potty break, and then you can come on back and we will start the party again at 1 o'clock. So guys, I'll see you on the next show. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.